Today, we're talking to Sam. He runs a freight forwarding company that handles thousands of emails a day. And that's not an exaggeration. He's created a system to allow anyone on his team to know what's happening with any shipment without ever leaving their inbox. This will be interesting for anyone with a high touch and high volume business. Let's get into it.
We're a freight forwarder, like a travel agent for shipping containers. We arrange everything from the process of like when their goods that are inside of one of those giant metal boxes needs to be shipped from, say, their factory to the other side of the world. So the freight forwarder arranges the shipment with all of the individual parties that are picking up the cargo and taking it through every single stage of its journey. So like you can think like going from, say, a factory to getting exported out of a country, getting onto a ship, sailing across the world, and then doing that same thing in reverse to get to the final destination. A lot of our emails are transactional emails between either our customers or vendors along the process of the movement of these goods. The one thing that our team was always doing is when someone sends an email saying, hey, container ABC has a delay or has something, we're working on hundreds, if not thousands of shipments at a given time. So we need to know what are they referring to, because this random string of numbers doesn't really mean anything in just a simple email. We set up this system and use something called a HBL number. It's an internal tracking number that our company has generated for unique shipments. What we've done is that we've created rules inside of Missive. So anytime we are putting into a comment or into an email an HBL number that starts with these first four letters, it's going to send a webhook, and the webhook gets sent into make.com. And then a lot of magic kind of happens on that side, which is saying, okay, let's create a label for this HBL number. But before we create it, we have to say, hey, does this label exist already? So make.com will go through the process of identifying if this label is an existing label or not. If it's an existing label, it'll get the label ID and attach it to the email. If the label doesn't exist, it will create the label and attach it to the email. But why we do this is just the least amount of friction from our users to be able to see a email that comes in and be able to identify what that HBL is and be able to just get this email categorized with the other emails that are related to this shipment. Once we have that, then we have this integration. This integration is pretty cool. Sometimes an email might have multiple HBLs, but in this one, there's one. So we'll click on it and it searches our system for all the information about this shipment. So the concept is the customer's name is going to show up and then their company name. We create these individual tags. So many people are touching a shipment. Everyone has different tracking numbers. So we have like our tracking number. There's the number of the container. There's another company's tracking number. It all just shows up here to give us that reference. And then the first stage that we have is just routing. This will give us the information that we need to know, like what's going on with this shipment. This gives us the picture of the port of loading. The place where this container was loaded was Shanghai, China. The estimated time of departure is the 18th of March. The actual time of departure was 2 days later on the 20th. Estimated time of arrival is April 29th. The ATA, which stands for actual time of arrival, it's blank. All of these are just estimated dates or actual dates that we just need to know at a various time. But then it's, oh, hey, the delivery information here is missing. Someone didn't fill in the delivery information. So this being a red tag tells our team that as they're going through this, that there's something that they would need to do. These missing tags help us make sure that we're not missing any information. And we apply some rules to it as well for supplier details. We've created the address of the factory where we're shipping your product. There's no contact information here. So there's been a tag for missing because we've identified that there's no way for us to contact this supplier, fill this out, basically. The next is the consignee details. This is needed during the shipment. Someone might need to know this stuff and fill in this information. Our accounting team will look into this. And so there's an invoice that's past due. So we need to deal with this invoice potentially before the delivery takes place, or just that's a task that accounting needs to handle. Whereas something up here is maybe our track and trace department would need to look at. The concept is that everything is organized. We don't need all of this information for every single instance. We're just trying to give our team a way so you don't have to leave your inbox to be able to identify something that might be going on.
So how did Sam build this? Well, mostly with ChatGPT and a Google Sheets integration. Seems doable, right?
I found this was all possible because I just put most of the documentation into ChatGPT and was like, this is what I want to do. Is this theoretically possible? The version 1 of this is that we take information from our internal tools that we've built, as well as some other stuff that's not yet put into that database. And we've put everything into a custom database just for looking up on Missive. And when I say custom, like, this sounds confusing or complex, but it's not. Our own app integrates with Google Sheets quite well. So it's get as much information into a Google Sheet as possible that is from our database. Once it's in there, where's all the other stuff that we want to put in here? Let's figure out a way of using make.com to put this into that Google Sheet. This will get us most of this data. The integration is built on Java, CSS, and some APIs, where we're just calling from different locations in the most centralized way possible. The majority of this being in Google Sheet is what made it really easy, because the stuff that could have just been custom coded was coded, and the stuff that required some rules and automations just got built in with make.com. And it's just made things simple. We're getting closer to a point where we don't need to rely on a third party to aggregate all of this information and display it. We can now communicate with our own apps and be able to do things like modify or make edits.
For anyone interested in doing this, we've so far covered 2 ways. You can either do it the way that Sam has done it, with shared labels, searching every single time, or you can do it the way that Dan has done it, another Missive customer, which is to build an offsite database. Here's a video for that. For those interested in building this, the key point of connection between 2 applications is a decision that the businesses have to make in order to make this integration work seamlessly. But how you do it is ultimately up to you.
The integrations with Missive was the biggest game changer of how beneficial Missive has become, with being able to get all of the random data that someone in our company needs at a various time into the email that someone is randomly reaching out to us about, that just prior to that email, we had no frame of reference of really what's going on with why they might be messaging us, or this gives us just a snapshot of everything that we need.
Are you tinkering with custom solutions for your small business? We'd love to showcase them. Comment below to let us know what you're working on and what you'd like to see in the next one. And we'll see you in the next one.